Hey Stampin' friends, welcome to Movie Monday with Jody Brackbill, Stampin' Queen. Hope you guys had a wonderful weekend. I'm here to share a shadow box card with you that we made in my WOW class in June. This card, you may have seen it on Pinterest. It is a little shadow box idea and it came from a demo overseas. I'm not exactly sure what her name is, but I saw the pin and a couple of my friends have made these. Now I have changed it to be a 1/2 inch shadow box, so you might see it at a 1/4 inch shadow box. It's a little bit smaller, but the 1/2 inch for me is easier to work with, and I like the look a little bit better. So let me share with you how we're going to create that. The first thing, well, let me slow down. We're going to use Colorful Seasons because, you know, it is one of my favorites. And this is a great stamp set. We're using some of the dies and some of the stamps with this one. That's in our new catalog. But we're going to start off with a watercolor wash. So we're going to squeeze our ink pads and get them nice and juicy in the lid. I have Flirty Flamingo and Pear Pizzazz. And I have a wet aqua painter. Okay, I want it super, you're not able to see there, super wet. Okay, I want lots of water in there, and we're just gonna, I have the biggest aqua painter and I'm just gonna brush across there. Pick up more if you need to. You can always add more, you can't take it away. So just do a wash across that, clean that off. I'm going to get that out of my way and do the same thing with my Pear Pizzazz. Really wet aqua painter there, and just wash across the top. All there is to it. Okay, now that needs to dry, so that's why we did that first. So I'm going to get that out of the way and let that have some drying time. In the meantime, we're going to use my score tool. I run out of room here. I just need a bigger desk. Okay, so I have a piece of Flirty Flamingo. It is 9 by 7 3/4. I'll keep coming down so you guys can see. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to do 4 score lines on each side at a 1/2 inch. So I'm going to score at 1/2 inch, 1 inch, 1 1/2, and 2. I'm going to turn it and do the same exact thing on the other side. Keep going. 1/2 inch, 1, 1 1/2, 2, and my final side here the same thing, making sure that my card stock is nice and tight here in the corner so my score lines are straight, because if they're not, we run into another problem. So now I have my short side, my 7 3/4 side at the top, and I need to do one more 1/2 inch. So at 2 1/2, I'm going to put a score line in, but I want to stop right at that second horizontal line. So it's just going to be a little tiny one. I'm going to do the same thing. That should be 5 1/4. Okay, so I have 2 little baby score lines. Turn it and do the exact opposite side, which is again your 7 3/4 side, and put those 2 little score lines in there. So now I'm done with this. Let's get that out of the way. All right, sorry about that. I don't want it on my table because it takes up too much room. So now we need to do some cutting, and we're going to cut straight down to where that score stopped. We're going to cut an angle from one corner to the next corner, straight down to the horizontal line, and then get rid of that whole panel there, that whole little wing. Okay, so it should look like that on all 4 sides. So straight down where that score line stopped, angle over to the corner, straighten it up again and go down to the next score line, and then cut the whole panel. Almost Okay, so it should look like this. And then we need to just make all those nice and crisp, all those 1/2 inch scores. If you have your bone folder, I would highly recommend using the bone folder. I don't think I have one on my table right now, but I may leave you hanging and go grab one, because it does make things go together so much better, because they're nice and crisp and already starting to fold. Okay, so I do want to make sure that I really have these really burnished. All right, score lines. Okay, this is such a fun card to make, so I just don't want to have any problems with it. So before we start assembling it, we need to bring our wash piece in and attach that to the inside of our box. Make sure it's stuck down nice and flat, and then we're going to use our tear and tape. And on all, okay, so I flip that over, so there's my inside. I want to do on the back side all of those very end edges. We want to put tear and tape there. You could use the Tombow green glue, which we will use here. I find it a little bit messy. I know lots of you love it, and that's fine too, because you're able to move things a little bit, so you're not quite as committed when you're using a serious adhesive like tear and tape or sticky strip, and that's fine too. But snail just won't work. You need a little bit more than that, but I like this because it's not quite as messy. So now we're going to do our sides first. We're going to peel off on the long side, and if you bring this back, so this edge right here is meeting that edge right where your white cardstock is. Put those together very carefully, roll them in, and make sure it is good and attached, and then fold it back, and that's what's going to give you your edge. Okay, so that's one side of the box. Do the same on the other side. You really want to make sure though that this fold, or this edge and that fold, are nice and tight together, or you will have a little bit of an issue when you go to put the rest of your box together. All right, fold that back up. Now the same thing has to happen with this side. Okay, see how it's already starting to go ahead and make its box. Now what I'm going to do a while is put my branch in. So I die cut this one ahead of time in crumb cake, and this is the branch from Colorful Seasons. It's a little longer than I need, so I'm going to trim it down just a smidge because it's longer than the box. And I have already put an adhesive sheet on it, so that's one of our new adhesive sheets. I put that on, ran it through the die cut, and now it is a sticker. And it goes on like so. How awesome is that? Amazing. Now I'm going to take a little bit of our green Tombow multi-purpose, and I'm going to put a dollop of glue in each corner. Peel this guy off, and I'm going to roll that in, tucking it underneath. And I want to make sure then that I just hold that with a little bit. That is so the edges are going to stick together. They're kind of like a mitered edge there. If a little bit of glue leaks out, you can get rid of it, but just hold that down so that the Tombow has a little bit of time to adhere. Sometimes it doesn't stick right away, and that's kind of the good thing, because you have time to move your pieces around. Oh, that just was a bubble. Okay, same thing on the other end. Just carefully roll that guy in there, tuck it back towards itself, and bring those corners together. Hold it down to give it a little bit of time to adhere. Beautiful. Okay, so now I took the cover, is, I don't remember what size, I got goopies on my, but I scored it, I think it's 5 1/4 by 8 1/2 maybe, and I scored it at 4 and 4 1/2, and then I die cut the oval right in the center. Make those score lines nice and crisp, and you want to do everything to this piece now. Got some adhesive in there, it looks like, before you attach your card. So I'm going to stamp my flowers and my sentiment a while. So I'm going to do Thinking of You down here in the corner. Then I'm going to do 2 branches, and this is soft suede ink. 2 branches at the top. I think we've talked about before that this is normal, that break in there, because that's where your flowers fit in. Flirty Flamingo flowers. Oh my gosh, I just love this stamp so much. I can't hardly stand it. Okay, so we got our flowers there, and then I have our little Adirondack chair. I'm just going to attach this in the corner, the right corner, with some glue dots. And I want to make sure that I have a glue dot on the right arm, and then I do 2 down at the bottom of the chair, because that's really all that's going to be attached. I don't want anything else where it's hanging over the oval I just created, because then my card isn't going to open quite right. So I've got my little Adirondack chair there. Okay, that's attached. So we can go ahead, and I'm going to use Fast Fuse on this. Attach that to, maybe I will, got gooped up here from my last run. Come on, goop. There we go. Just, I want to make sure that this really sticks. Mono adhesive does work. My other card does have mono on it. It works fine. And then you're just centering this little box just inside. Okay, isn't that beautiful? So the final step now is going to be some more glue dots and the little flowers that come from the Colorful Seasons as well. I just do a little glue dot on them. Final one. And then just for the pretties, we're going to put some little pearls on the center of the little flowers inside our shadow box, because all the flowers need a pearl center, and there you go. That is our beautiful little shadow box card. Now you could do the same thing if you wanted to make it smaller. And I did one, oh, here it is. All right, there's one I did with the 1/4 inch score, so you can see how small it is. And I did it in our blushing, no, powder pink, which turned out very pretty too. The only problem is I really am having trouble getting those corners to stay together. It just seems like with that 1/4 inch, it just really is a lot of pressure and it wants to pull apart, and it's got 3 different adhesives on there. So anyway, I like the 1/2 inch. Clearly neither one of these are going to be sent through the mail. You have to hand cancel them or deliver them to your special person. So thanks so much for joining me, guys. Have a wonderful week, and I will see you next week for Movie Monday.